a example of running a report and bursting it out to a group of people. The report that we're going to use, let me show that first, is a report that actually ships with the product. It's called the employee report. Employee accounts, I believe. Yeah, list of accounts per employee. So if I execute it here, just to show you how it looks standalone, it's got one input parameter, which asks you for an employee. So if I choose, for example, Sarah, and I hit OK, then I get a list of the accounts that Sarah owns. So let's say I wanted to schedule this report for every one of my employees to run on some sort of a schedule. So it would be called report bursting. And I have an example of how to do that inside of JasperSoft ETL. So how do we achieve this? First of all, I wanted to get a list of the employees. So a list of the employees can be found in the employees table. So I just essentially execute a query where I select the ID and the username from the users table where the employee status is active. So you can imagine how to do that in ETL. Then there's an important component here called tflow to iterate, because what I want to do is I want to iterate through each one. In this case, I have 12 rows. Let me, well, we'll keep it like that. So we had 12 rows, and it'll execute for each one of the rows. It'll now execute this component called tJasperServerExec. Now this is a community supported component that you can download and install in JasperSoft. And essentially what it does is it allows you to make calls into Jasper Server. So when I click on the Jasper Server exec, we see that I've added the URL to my Jasper Server instance, a username and password, the name of the report, so in this case it's the employee accounts report, and then we have the parameter. So we have a parameter called employee ID. Now the way that I populate that parameter is through a variable. In this case it is coming from the flow to iterate component, and it's called ID. So it's quite simple to get that. I'm going to clear that out, and I'm going to hit Control Space, and you'll see that I get a menu here with the available functions that I can drop in. So if I go to the very bottom, I'll see that I get, oops, I think I scrolled past it, but I can come back up. So if I see T flow to iterate and the ID, so I just select that, and it wrote the string for me. Beyond that, there's no other configuration other than a destination path and a report name. So I'm actually just saving the report in the temp folder with PDF as the output format. And then from there, so remember, we're following one execution here. From there, I go to a tsendMail component. The sendMail component, I've got it configured to just send all the emails to me, but you might imagine that I could modify the to here by adding another parameter. So I might say, I'll use Control Space again, and I'll try to use the maybe tflow to iterate username, and I'll concatenate that with the domain. Now your user table might have an email ID, and you might drop it in there. The from can also be parameterized. The sender name can be parameterized. And as you see here, I've actually parameterized the email that's going to be sent out. And it's going to say dear and the person's name that we're executing. Now I'm going to change this back to my email address here at work so that we can actually receive the email. Now below this is configuration for my email. I'm not going to show you that. I don't want you to see my email server. So beyond that, I'm going to then delete the file once. So this on subjobbed OK hits a T file delete. And then from there, when I execute the job, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now I get some warnings about the authentication that's being used. You can ignore those. They're really just, it says info basic authentication scheme is selected. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong, just means it's using basic auth into Jasper server. So here it's building the job, and it's going to, oops, I need to insert something. Okay, so when I was messing with the send mail component, okay, I forgot to close the quote there. So that's what happened, and then I'll run the job now and you'll see it work. Now what this is going to do, it's going to iterate through all of them and it's going to send me the email 12 times. So then I'll have to delete it afterwards. But you see it working. There's one execution. It's getting the, calling Jasper server here to get the report. When that's okay, then it sends the mail, and when that's okay, it deletes the file. And you see it just going through and doing the iteration. So it really, my query here is taking like, well, it's taking 18 seconds. Let's see. So there's something that's kind of slow somewhere. I don't know where. The report is quite large for each employee. So anyways, this is something you would schedule using the ETL scheduler. So now I'm going to switch to my other screen and see if I can get an email. So here I have one that came in for Max. So I'm going to open it up and see if I can open it up in a new screen. Let's see. If I double click, I just don't want to bring my entire email over. Let me see if I can open in a different screen. Well, I'll just have to bring over my entire email. Like, here's Chris. He has 143, and you see that the name, so I could capitalize that using Java, and then I get to see the report PDF. So that's really it. That's how that works. Now, of course, you can build your own. This is just an example using tools that are already available in the ETL, but you can call the APIs yourself and build this kind of report bursting capabilities on your own. Thank you.